Anthony, your art videos regularly get hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views. But as you and I both know, there's tons of educational, informational YouTubers out there struggling to get thousands, if not hundreds of views on their videos. So I've got to ask you, what is the process that you follow to make videos that you believe are going to get that high views when you make videos for your channel?
There is a pattern you can follow. You can look at previous videos and see what has been performing well, what current trends are. And obviously with YouTube being tied to Google, it's a really easy way to check the trends and see what is popular right now. But realistically, there's a bit of a luck aspect to it. While there is a way of going about it where I can see if one of my videos is doing well, say if I'm using one color and that's doing well, I can try to create another one color challenge and see how that's going. And that may get the views as well. And in the past, it has been effective doing things like that when it came down to the coloring book challenges and things like this. Anything that was comparative to my previous videos, anything that looks like my previous videos, the thumbnails were the same, the titles were the same, the idea was the same. Doing things like that is a great way to capitalize on it. Of course, when I work with some of the more popular mediums, say if there's a new movie out, say the Spider-Verse is just released, so when I work with a character from there or something with Marvel or from a partnership with Marvel or whatever it is, those videos will do well. And that's usually because we have the current trend and that is happening. So trends is definitely the way to go if you want to become successful and you want to get those views, but it's not a guaranteed way to maintain those views. I will certainly get them, but my next video may not. And also we have to hope that something relevant releases around the time that I release my content relative to that, which it's always difficult, especially when you're an artist, because as an artist, I want to create and I want to do my own thing. But if I'm reliant on other things to release, then I'm forced to do things that I necessarily don't want to do, or maybe it is something I want to do, but it's not the right time to do it. So I can't do that. So I have to leave my passion aside. And then it becomes just a way of, now I have to look into the other side of things. Do I follow the trend of the character? Do I follow the trend of the relevancy? Or do I follow the YouTube trends? Do I follow the whatever's popular right now, the social trends? There's so many things that we have to look at. Definitely trends are the driving force by everything. What other people are doing and what we're seeing on social media and what we're seeing as a trending topic. That is definitely the way to make content now, I feel, especially post lockdown times. It's definitely, we try to avoid the word, but yeah, post that era, it's definitely now about just following trends and pretty much doing what other people are doing, which makes it very difficult sometimes. And yeah, I do struggle, although it doesn't look like it all the time. When you see large creators, I mean, many of my friends as well are very big creators, and we see them getting large views, and also we see them getting much lower views comparatively to their other videos. I went through a phase of getting 500,000 plus 1,000 views on videos for a very long period of time. And then, some of my videos got 50,000 views, which sounds like a lot of views for some people. But for me, and comparatively to my previous videos, that's not a lot of views. So then I had to look at those and wonder what went wrong. These were identical to those. They were the same format, the same setting. What went wrong there? And
so you're reflecting on your own performance.
Definitely. I only ever compare myself to myself. I try to avoid other people. Something I've learned over the years, especially when I created some series, which was something again, that era. Creating series was a big thing. Being original was a big thing. And that was definitely something that people looked for. We've kind of pulled away from that now. Being original isn't really the way to become bigger or to get many views. You have to kind of take the trending idea and manipulate it a little bit. So you can't be original in that sense, but to just be completely out there and to create something that has not been done before, it's a big gamble, and that is very risky to do. And we are seeing a lot more of this sort of creative nature of things die out a little bit.
Cool. I want to stop you right there. I think that's a really interesting thing that I want to dig into with you in a second. Trends and digging into trends and manipulating them. Really interesting thing that we can learn there from you. But first off, I'm just going to get your YouTube channel up. Let's take a look through your channel, and how about you just introduce yourself and tell the viewers what your channel is about, what types of videos you make, and a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I never look at my channel on a web browser. I've just noticed that my banner is, wow, that is a very outdated banner. I need to change that.
Gotta get the updates.
I made that when I was a new creator. and I never really into it at all. So that's but, so yeah, I'm ADC Art Attack, and my content right now, is driven around art on a budget and focusing on challenges and doing things that are questionable, things that you would see someone, you would ask the question to yourself, for example, that my latest video, only using black markers. That's a very out there thing. That's something that when you see a title like that or you hear a topic like that, you have no idea how that's going to happen. That is and I love that idea. I think it was a great idea. It's doing pretty well relative to my recent videos, but it's it's definitely it's actually one of my older series. It's actually something that I brought back recently. So I have actually been doing this for a while.
Okay. Also, this is a reimagining of something you've done in the past.
Yes, so that video is actually part of a new editing style. That video and the previous one, the $1 versus $1, that's a new series too. Well, it's a take on an old series revamped. And they have new editing formats and new editing styles into them, which has managed to push retention rates through the roof. They have actually performed exceptionally well compared to my previous.
Awesome.
So yeah, right now my focus is on art on a budget, doing challenges. I'm trying to limit as many challenges as possible. But I am known for my coloring. Despite my opinions on it, I don't think I'm a great colorer. I don't know the word for it. Colorist. I don't think I'm very good at it, but people seem to think I am. So I'm very grateful for that. And I guess I just get by. As you can see, many of these are repetitive contents as well. A lot of these are the same, but different.
Okay.
And also sponsored videos too, which actually sort of direct the nature of those videos. For example, the metal one on the right, that was a sponsored video, which was not something that I had planned. And when the company contacted me and they wanted me to customize this sort of delivery box safe, they made the video for me. They gave me this item. I had no idea what I was going to do for it, and that was fun. It was fun to be in a position like that where you get something so out there, you have no plan for it, and you do it. It's just, it's great.
That's such a creative way to make a brand deal work for your channel. This metal, did you say metal safe, did you say?
Yeah, so it's a delivery box. It's outside your house. It has a locking system on it. And postman, delivery guys, they can just bring packages, open it up, put the package in there, and it locks safely.
Awesome.
And when I received that, there was no video planned, really. There was no real idea on what we were going to do beyond a ad segment. But I figured, why not make a full-length video of me showcasing an art project with this and creating a sponsor around a video, or a video around a sponsor, rather than just inserting the sponsor into there. I always find is a much better way of getting engagement for both the sponsor and for myself, because we do see a very common mistake and a common error. In fact, brands make this mistake a lot, which is ad segments. They want to place 30 seconds of an ad segment into a video, immediately kills the retention of the video, and for all intents and purposes, that's it, done. The video will perform negatively over time, and nobody wins in that situation. So I always try to avoid that wherever I can, but sometimes it's unavoidable. And once you become a larger creator and you start getting the attention of these other brands and they start to talk to you more about these things, it becomes harder to say no. It becomes easier to say yes, harder to say no. It's a weird system. You're in a weird balance. But when you do take these things on, you do have a little bit more power the larger you get in how that's going to be implemented into your video, which is lovely to do. But also sometimes you just kind of take it and just, I'll just put it in the video. It's fine. We'll just do it.
Yeah, especially I imagine when you get bigger, the paychecks that the companies write get bigger and harder to resist. So it might be harder to turn things down at that stage.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's something to talk about at some point in this. If you want.
Let's park that. We'll talk about revenue streams and brand deals a bit later on. But I want to get into some things you've already mentioned. We haven't dug into properly yet. So earlier on, when I asked you about videos that get views, you talked about the strategy of finding trends and also the strategy of kind of remaking and doubling down on things that has already worked well on your channel. So starting at trends, I'll get your channel back up. Can you maybe talk us through what making videos around trends looks like for you, and then also maybe how you even go about finding these trends?
Yeah, so I mean, if you scroll down slightly, you'll see there's a Mario cheap versus expensive, which briefly down. Yep, these ones. So we've got like Bowser's there, Mario. So the cheap versus expensive series came about. I started doing that several years ago, actually. I was a big fan of, I think it was BuzzFeed that was doing Worth It, and they were doing it around food. And while cheap versus expensives have happened in the art community, at the time that I decided I wanted to do it, nobody was doing them at that moment in time. So I figured, well, why not just revisit this series? You know, I'm a big fan of the Worth It series, so why not reimagine it for the art community? It's something that we need, and obviously people used to watch those videos, but nobody's making them now. So I began making them again. I created a thumbnail format, which I felt worked really well, so I've stuck with it for many years now. It's just pretty much been the same format every single time, so people see the video and recognize it. Thank you. Yeah, they see it. It's just such a basic concept of showing the products in the video, and people see it, they recognize it's my video. Maybe not so much now, because the trends start to set in where now we see there are so many people
getting some copycats.
Yeah, it's everywhere. And that's a point I'll mention in a moment. But yeah, it was when I was trying to find trends, what I would do is I'd look for things that people weren't doing. So I always had respect for my fellow artists, and that's something that I found was great in the art community, is we always had respect for each other. And it was always if someone's eating, let them eat. So we would never do something if someone was doing it, or if we did do it, we would always credit that person as the inspiration behind the idea. So I would look for an idea that people weren't doing right there, but have been proven in the past and have done well. From there, I went and made my series, and I have several of them, which is the cheap versus expensives, the professional artist versus children's coloring book, which probably if we go down a little bit, I haven't done those in a while, but they should.
Right hand side. Yeah.
The right-hand side one, so that was a collaboration with Candy Crush. That was one of my last ones that I have done. And yeah, so that series was... So that was actually a series that I created. That was my original series, which was done so many years ago. It's one of my biggest, I think... it's what made me known, by the way. That series is... I owe my career to that. That series was...
Professional artist versus coloring book.
Yeah. When I first did that, we're going back like 5 or 6 years now. When I did that series, it became an internet. It was everywhere. It was all over. I don't have Facebooks, but it was all over Facebook. It was all over media outlets, Lad Bibles. Everyone was posting it. It was mind blowing, and it changed my life literally overnight. It became, so cool. And that was the nature of YouTube back then. It was, one video can change your life, and that's what happened with me. And
when are we talking? Around when was this? Whenabouts was this?
I'm thinking 4 years ago was when I first posted it. I think so. 3 or 4. It's really hard to tell because we had that massive gap of nothing. So I think it was like 3 or 4 years. I don't know. It was 4 years ago, I'm just going to say. I think that's 2019. Cool. And I remember because I was working a regular job and we came up with the idea. It was actually me and my then wife. We were in a store. She pulled up a coloring book and she was like, why don't you make a video on this? And at the time I was just doing anime and manga, and it was a comic book. And I was like, yeah, why don't I? So I got indoors, colored in this coloring book just for a video, and I had no title. I had nothing in mind at the time. So in the end, I started, how am I going to make this a video? This was before I pre-planned my videos. I just made a video and then I had no idea what I was doing. And I started browsing online before I posted this one because I really liked the video and I thought, oh, this is great. So I browsed online, I browsed everywhere for different title ideas. Have anyone made this title before? Eventually I came up with the perfect title, which was Professional Artist versus a Children's Coloring Book. It had never been done. And I thought it was just like, this is a genius title. So
really great title.
Yeah, if you saw the videos by most viewed, actually, I think that which I think you can now do. I think they finally brought that back.
Yeah. We still can't see by oldest, but we can see by most viewed. Yeah.
If you go down very slightly, you'll see the first one that I ever did. It's a Superman.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
First one.
Yeah.
So that was the first ever video that I'd made so long ago. And, well, not the first one I ever made, but the first in that series. And as I say, that video is my claim to fame. That video is the one that I owe all my success to. And
2.8 million views.
Oof. Yeah. And the thing is that video, that pretty much fell off immediately, that video. Within, I think it was like a 24-hour period, it went and got 1 million views. It was an immediate success. I'd never had a video, I think like 50,000 or something was my highest at that time. Wow. And that video just went and just broke every record I ever had. It gave me more views than my channel had ever had at that time on that one video. And I was just like, whoa. And this was just really, it just blew my mind that something like that could happen. And yeah.
So just jump. Sorry, just bringing it back. So when you were saying trends earlier, then, and finding trends that you can use on your channel. When I think trends, I think at the moment Apple Vision Pro OS, or what else is happening? Something that's happening in the news right now. But the way you're referring to trends, are you talking about trends as in formats for videos?
Not necessarily. So the original ones, the concept idea of each one of those ones, the cheap versus expensive, the coloring books, those I'm talking about at that style of seeing what other social media accounts are doing, what other pages are doing. That's the sort of trend that I was addressing there. But the characters, I don't know, the character specific ones, so with the Deadpools, with the Captain Americas, with the things like this, those are what is trending right now. So I go to Twitter, I see what's trending. I see what's just released, Spider-Man, Sonic. Sonic was done around the Sonic movie time. Each one of these done around what is trending, because I can't do... There are other types of trends, but they don't work for my format. So Mr. Beast, for example, I could make a video drawing his logo, and that would probably do very well, but it's very hard to bring that into there. And that's a very obvious one, and that's also difficult. It doesn't fit my niche, and if I was to suddenly change to do that, which is another big thing, if you change your content suddenly and rapidly, you can lose subscribers immediately. And I've seen that happen with me from the moment I do content that isn't necessarily in line with what I always do, or a character, or a whatever it is. It can negatively impact my channel overnight. So I have to be very particular about how I follow a trend and what I see as trending and how I implement that into my channel.
I've had exactly the same problem on my channel. I've pivoted and changed my content too drastically, and had the same issue of losing subscribers, momentum slowing down. Completely get you that.
There's definitely growing pains, and there's things that people, they panic too much. And I'm guilty of it. I mean, right now I was panicking recently because my videos weren't performing. I hadn't for the last 10 videos received like 50,000 views, and I was like, what is going on here? It actually came from me having a break. I had a short, I think a 30-day break or something. And because of that, my channel never recovered. It's just started to recently recover. Older videos are popping off. I'm having a really good time right now on YouTube, like in terms of views, without uploading. So everything's doing well right now. And yeah, so people need to not panic too much, I think that's probably the best advice I could possibly give anyone. It's just don't panic, because it will go bad and it will get better. It's just, or it won't, or it might. I don't know. It's just so, you don't know what's going to happen. So the best thing you can do is just make the content you enjoy, and obviously try to make the content that your audience enjoys as well, because you have to separate yourself from your channel at the end of the day. It is a business, and if that's what you want to do as a career, if you want to become a creator, you have to accept that you are not that channel. The channel is its own thing. It's its own entity, and you cannot dump your diary of emotions into it and keep putting whatever you want into that, because that just doesn't work. It has to be whatever other people who are subscribing to your channel want to see.
Yeah, I think there's an important of trying to find a middle ground. Like, I've gone down the extreme of making only what I want to make in the past on my channel, which is been disastrous. I've also gone down the extreme of trying to chase too much what just I believe my audience wants. But I think if you can find that sweet spot of what you enjoy making and what viewers like to watch, that's kind of the key to success for longevity, isn't it? Finding that middle ground.
100%. Yeah, 100%. I suppose it's sort of easier for me because drawing is the thing that I enjoy. So it doesn't really matter what I'm drawing at that point. I mean, specifically the artist community, they do get tied to one style of art, and they want to do that one style of art. So it's like, I'll pick a character or a popular series and I want to just draw that. That is not a good idea. It will be great short term. It'll be fantastic short term, but long term, that will not be a good idea. You need to find ways of balancing and accepting that, the process of what it is you're doing should be the interest. So if you like drawing, but you like drawing a specific thing, we'll remove that specific thing from the equation. You like drawing and focus on that aspect of what it is you're doing. So that's how I get by. So I can draw anything now, as long as I'm just going through the motions of doing it. I enjoy that motion part. I enjoy the actual. So yeah, I'm just not tied to anything now. I do whatever I want, whenever I want, or whatever the viewer wants. I will create that. And then I will just find enjoyment through the actual process of the creation.
That's a really powerful tip there. For longevity, for long-term success, find what you love and make videos around that. But apply, the actual specifics of what the video is about within what you love. Let other things dictate that.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. Really powerful.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase it for a more broader audience rather than just the art scene. But I guess people have to interpret how they see fit or how they can. But yeah, it's definitely just take that, just find that one thing that you find the passion in the process of doing it. So as I say, for me, it's the drawing process. It doesn't have to be a specific type of drawing. It's the drawing process I like. So I'm going to focus on that, enjoy that regardless. Same with, I guess, with gaming as well. It could be the same thing. Do you like gaming? Yes. Do you like gaming only when it's a specific game though? You know, you have to look and see what it is that you actually like about it and then work around that and find a way to cope with both the channel and that and accept that that's the way it's going to be if you want to be successful. Short-term success is just, as I say, it's great and it can go to your head real quick, but to have longevity and to do it for so long, I've been doing it for like 4 or 5 years now. And and there's highs and lows throughout the entire process. And there are times when you wonder if I'm going to be able to do this anymore. And is this it? Am I on my way out here? But then you find that passion and you realize it and you mature and you grow and then that's it. You feel comfortable, you feel content.
Makes complete sense. So yeah, right. We've been hearing great tips so far on how to get more views on YouTube. But if you're like me, you'll know that no matter how hard we work, some months views might be up and other months our views might be down. And when looking at ad revenue, that means that some months we might earn a lot and other months we might not. And I, for one, do not like that monthly inconsistency that comes with our YouTube earnings. So I went away and I found out that YouTubers like Jevon Dovey that you'll see on screen now, and even smaller YouTubers like Brendan Washington are using a platform called Uscreen to solve this problem. What is Uscreen and how does it help us earn monthly recurring income, you might ask? Let me explain. So going back to Jevon, he's used Uscreen to build the Creator Film School that you'll see on screen now, where you can see here he's teaching his audience the skills they need to create awesome videos. And if they want to, as viewers can join the Creator Film School by just committing to a $29 a month membership fee. Jumping back to Brandon here, he's used Uscreen to open the Creative Fam Academy, where if we scroll down, we can see he's hosting a ton of courses for his viewers that they can access when they join his monthly membership, which if we scroll down here, we can see is ranging from $4.99 for the basic stuff to $79.99 a month to join. And just focusing in on some of the Uscreen features Brandon's using to convince his viewers to sign up to that monthly fee, we can see here he's offering live stream trainings to his viewers. They can join an internal community inside this membership space, and they just get access to a ton of extra guides, courses, video content, and Q&As. And jumping back to Jevon here, even though his views on YouTube might be going up and down each month, if he can convert 100 of his viewers to sign up to his $29 a month membership, well, that's $2,900 he's making every month, regardless of how many views he gets on YouTube. Seeing these creators doing this solidifies inside me how great I think building a membership space around your YouTube channel is. It generates you recurring, consistent income every month, and it just means that you're not obsessing over whether your views are up or down on YouTube month in, month out. In fact, if you look on screen now, you'll see that I'm using Uscreen myself to build up my own membership platform. I need to use one of their templates, to be honest, to make mine look a bit better because it's looking a bit basic at the moment. It's a work in progress. And by using Uscreen to build out this membership space, I'm able to send emails directly to people that sign up and become members. I'm able to offer free trials and provide coupon codes to my viewers. And jumping over here, you'll also see the behind the scenes of what the community space looks like inside a Uscreen membership area, where members of my membership space can come and have a chats with each other, speak to me, and just build a community inside my membership platform. And later, if I wanted to, I could bring my membership space into my own white label mobile and TV app, which means people could access it on iPhone, Android, Fire Stick, Roku TV, all of those usual suspects. It's a no-brainer for YouTubers like you and me making educational content to build membership sites alongside our channels to just get that guaranteed recurring revenue. I recommend using Uscreen to do it. Thankfully, they're sponsors of this podcast. So if you want to get set up, you can use my partner link that you'll find below in the description to this video. Thanks. You've talked us through the importance of finding trends there, whether it's trending topics like Spider-Man, Sonic, or trends in as in a format that's working really well on YouTube, and how you go about that with your channel, and how you do your research on Twitter and other areas to find those trending topics. You also mentioned kind of repeating and doubling down on the success that you've had on your channel in the past, like repeating successful formats that you've introduced on your channel. Can you talk us through them and maybe show us some examples on your channel and what that means in your channel particularly?
Yeah. So firstly, with the trends thing is you got to remember that you are a trend to your audience as well. Your audience are there to watch your content, and that in itself is a trend to that specific person and to those specific people. You don't need to be a trend to the masses. You don't need to appeal to everyone. We're so focused on trying to get as many views as we possibly can from everywhere and everyone. It's not that big of a deal. You don't need to be seen by everyone. What you need is a loyal audience. You need a loyal subscriber base. You need people who are going to either invest in your products, click on your ad sponsors. You know, those are the people who are going to add to your longevity at the end of the day. You know, if I went and got 1 million subs overnight, wouldn't really do much for me now. Back in the day, it might have worked, but now it wouldn't do anything for me. I need a loyal subscriber base. So they are the people who I care about. And when I see that they watch my videos and I look at that and I see, well, okay, my subscribers are clicking on this video. They're the ones I focus on. They are the ones who I make content for. And I look at my channel and I say, okay, that's what they're looking at. Cool. I'm going to do this. The CTR, there's a lot of focus on CTRs. There's a lot of focus on your view retentions and things and all these graphs. But I think you need to really look at who it is that's watching it. Is it just appearing on feeds? Is it just anywhere and everywhere? You know, because if you get tens of millions of views, you're going to have a low CTR. And really, is that an indicator of a successful or a poor video? I don't know. What I do know is when my subscribers are clicking it and when I see how much my notification feed is going off, I go, oh, that is exactly what I want to see. That's the audience who are going to, at the end of the day, support me through thick and thin and through the many years that I've been creating. I actually know many of them by name now, so I'm familiar with many of my subscribers. And having that wholesome community, I think, that's where you should make your content.
Yeah, there's an analytic, isn't there, in the back end of YouTube, returning viewers.
Yes.
And I think that is probably one of the best ways to see how many of your viewers are watching one of your videos and then coming back for your next one and your next one over and over again.
Exactly. And that's super underrated as well, because returning viewers, you know, I don't subscribe to channels. I rarely subscribe to channels because the YouTube system is it's perfect, but it's not. So it's perfect as an algorithm. As an algorithm, it works fantastically. But for the individual, it's not good. So you can get hidden very quickly. As soon as people start watching other people's content, you can get hidden, you can get lost, and that can happen. If you're not clicking on someone's video, you're never going to see their video ever again. So that's very, that's where I feel there's faults with the system. But when you check that returning subscriber, that returning viewer thing, that's a great indicator that your video is doing well, because they are essentially subscribers. They are people who are watching your content regularly, and they are they are subscribed. They're just not clicking the button, but they are subscribed.
Yeah, their behavior is through their behavior. They're basically subscribers because they're watching every one of your videos.
And you want to keep catering to that, because if you keep catering to that, they are going to keep seeing your videos. You know, that's why you want to double down right now, and that's actually what I'm focusing. So you can see here, if you scroll down slightly, I think our cameras are just in the way for me, but you can see the ones with the price tags in the titles. So the $30, the $2.50, $1, $1.20. These ones are me, again, repeating content and trying to gather that audience back again, bring them back to the channel, and just doubling down on the content. But I don't want to do them every single video. So you see I slot a video in between each one of them, and I try to make sure that there is a bit of variety for those who are subscribed and are checking the subscription tab, so they aren't getting bored. But at the end of the day, I still need to focus on those returning viewers. I need to focus on those people who are seeing my videos. And by doing this, by doubling down on this type of content, that is a great way of doing it. The coloring one as well. So you got the orange there, and my latest one.
I think there's a black one, isn't there? The latest one.
Using black is my latest one, which that one has actually decided my next content. So my next video is going to be using brown. And that's because that video is doing statistically incredible. That has all the makings of being a viral video. And I'm just waiting to see if it actually will, which does take, for an art channel, it's usually around a month. So it takes some time for that video to eventually hit the algorithm. But once it does, I mean, most of my videos that have gone 1 million plus views, they took around 2 to 4 weeks to actually kick off. So they usually hover around what that is right now. So they hover around there, and then they'll just go and they'll take off. So really looking forward to seeing what that one does. And that's
fingers crossed. It's exciting.
It is exciting. It's great to watch those numbers. You notice a pattern. Once you've been doing it for a long time, you start to notice patterns, and you see, at tomorrow at 10 p.m., I know or today at 10 p.m., I know that video is going to get X amount of views. I know it's going to go up in views again. And then the next day at like 3 a.m., it will drop down again. But I just know the system now, and I see what is a pattern between those videos. So I always you have to let the views sort of direct your content at the end of the day, and look at your videos, look at the views, look at the statistics as well, and let that decide what you're going to make next. Try not to venture too far from it. I mean, as I say, you can try to find ways to manipulate that content. Not my latest video, but the one just before it was the $1 versus a $1. It's actually a new series. It's not actually in my playlist of series, which is why the views are a little bit lower than the usual one. The usual one is part of a cheap versus expensive series. That is a cheap versus cheap series. It's the same concept. It's the same idea, but it's now not part of the playlist. It's not part of that same thing. It's going to hit a different audience, and it is hitting a different audience. But again, statistically, that is doing incredibly well. The views are really low, but the click-through rate is through the roof, and the retention is something like 72%. So it has a very high retention rate, which usually my retention is around 50, 55. So that is doing phenomenal. Yeah.
I think we definitely need to talk about retention in a second, because 72% overall retention, most people struggle to stay above 70% in the first 30 seconds. So I think we have a lot we can learn from you there. Before we get to that though,
those two videos, that they have a new style to them, and that's what's changed everything there.
Okay, I'm going to pick apart that. I'm going to interrogate you in that area in a second. But it sounds to me like you're finding these series, almost these formats that work well on your channel with your existing audience, and you're remaking them. Am I right in assuming from what you just said that you're putting these in the playlists as well? If I click on the playlist tab, will they?
Yeah, I have playlists. Okay. So I use the playlists for series that I never continued. The only series that I've really continued here is the professional artists and coloring books, and the cheap versus expensive, which should be there. Oh, which is worth it. Okay, yeah. I named it Which is Worth It because that was actually, when I was making the intro, I accidentally said, so which is worth it? And it just sounded like such a good sound bite. And I thought, that's a playlist. So, but the actual playlist is expensive.
Really interesting. So rather than simply remaking the formats and just putting the videos on your channel, you found it beneficial to also arrange these and organize them into playlists as well. Have you found that gives you even more views and exposure?
It did. It doesn't now. It used to.
Okay.
So when I made the current book series as an example, I found that, for example, the latest one there, actually, it says season 2. And so we got season 2 is that one. I actually had a season 1. So the first video of season 2 didn't do well. And that was because it wasn't part of the playlist. Or that's my assumption. It was just a coincidence. It was like, why is this one done so badly? Excuse me. I was like, why is this one done so badly? And then I put it down to, well, it's got to be the playlist. Once those videos started to get more views, every single one in that playlist started to get more views, and things started to go really well.
Okay.
Now, I don't notice a pattern. Now I don't see a pattern. I think it's just for me because I get frustrated when I look at a video and I'm like, well, how can I find more of this content? And usually the suggested might have one of this person's video, but usually it will have a whole mix of other videos that may be relative, may not be relative. So any algorithm does its best, to pick up on keywords and whatever tags the creator has made. Usually it's not relevant to the actual content. And that's a problem for me. So I just figured, well, why not solve this problem for my viewers and give them playlists?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. But I do get nervous when I make a video that isn't part of a playlist. I get very nervous about how that video is going to perform. And the average view on the ones that are not in playlist is lower than the playlist ones. So I do think that playlists play a part, whether it's big or small, definitely for longevity. It does for longevity because people can find those videos much easier, and that's great. So I think everyone should use them, personally. For me, so when I'm watching your channel, I can see them.
If you're watching, start using playlists. I don't think playlists are talked about that often, so this could be a hot tip for everyone watching. Start putting your videos into playlists and see if that has any uptick, if it has any benefit.
Yeah,
Cool.
Think about what you want. You know, when you watch a channel, when you watch a video, what do you want to see, and then give that in your video. Give that to what you think that people might like. You know, if someone's doing something that you think, oh, I wish they had done this, you do it. Why not? If they're not doing it, you do it. And you're providing the service that you want and that you want to see, and you're giving it to your viewers. And someone somewhere is going to appreciate that. It doesn't hurt anyone at the end of the day. Nobody's complaining that you're making playlists. So it's only benefiting those who actually want the playlists. So why not?
Yeah, why not? I love it. And my takeaway so far then, really interesting, is the similar formats of content. I think that's kind of doing two things. It's satisfying your existing audience because you're giving them more of what you know they already like from looking at your analytics and seeing the performance of your previous videos. And also, if a new person finds your channel watching, for example, they find your channel through the the price comparison, so the $1 versus $1 versus $120, they find that video, they're then able to realize that there's a ton of other videos just like that of the same type. So the Batman video, the Luigi. So it kind of sets you up for a viewing binge session from new people that find
exactly that. And you see the comments, you see them a lot. You know, I've just gone for an ADC binge, and it's like, oh, that's awesome. So and you never think that you're going to be that person that people will binge watch, but they do. And it's lovely to see those comments. I mean, those comments are always heartwarming. I had a comment recently about my latest video. They said this felt like a Netflix quality video or something like that. And I was like, wow. Like that just blew my, I was like, wow, okay, thank you so much. Like those things just really hit hard and they just make you feel great.
So awesome.
So I love when people comment on the little things that you do in your videos, whether it's their, you know, when it's personal to them. That's when I feel the most pleasure from the video that I've made. When someone says, you know, I watched this with my family, and it's like, oh gosh, like this is beautiful. It's like, you just love hearing things like that. I started coloring with my son because of your video, and I'm like, it's super
rewarding.
It makes you feel great.
And I imagine then that comment about the quality of the latest video probably taps into the editing changes that you mentioned you've been doing on the last two videos and getting you such crazy retention. So could you maybe talk us through some of the changes that you've made in these latest two videos with the editing?
Yeah, so usually when my videos start, I started my videos with, hey, what's going on YouTube? My name is ADCArtAttack. And that's a fine intro. It works well, and it's usually for the kids. I do that intro for the kids because I'm aware that parents, you know, my demographic is actually pretty older than most audiences. This is my new format. So my demographic now is a much older demographic. It's around the age of 40, 35 to 45, something like that. So it's actually moved. Despite the fact that I'm doing comic books and cartoons, it's moved into the higher one. But I am aware that kids are watching it. I am aware that people are watching it with their kids as well. So I try to balance that between the two audiences, and I try to do a little bit more of fun. I have a channel mascot, a little duck, and I just try to play into both sides. So the video itself is more serious when I'm discussing matters on, you know, the price of something that I'm using, or I try to address the audience in a way that's respectful to them as an adult or whatever. I try to just talk to them as a human being and have a general conversation with them. But the intro segment, and also I try to, you know, implement some of my more comedic things, more of my fails, more of my laughs. But this one was a little bit more of I'm trying to think of the way to really summarize the way that I changed the style of this video. Well, as you can see, the green screen came in. Sure. I paid for a green screen about 5 years ago, and I never used it, and I figured I'd bring it in.
I've done exactly the same.
Right. And you get one and you just never use it. So I figured, well, I've got to start using this thing. It was just, I tripped over it every single time I walked past it. So now I use it. And so this video is a more snappy editing style. The video itself is it looks like I'm doing really slow, but there you go. So rather than me stacking up those books as I would have done in the old videos, I would have been stacking them up and talking about how many books I have in that moment. Instead, I did a voiceover. I just cut to me, here are the books stacked up. And now people know, I've respected the audience. They know that the books are stacked there. They know that there's a lot of books here, which is the idea of it. But instead, I've inserted a voiceover that just says, I have a lot of books. And it's just me creeping into the frame. It's a snappy way of...
They don't need to see the slow process of you stacking the books up. They can see it stacked by just cutting to a big stack of books.
And there's a lot of a get to the point. You know, when you're doing this process, although I'm talking to them about it, I'm like, oh, so I have so many books here, as you can see, and I'm going to have to pick one. Why am I saying this? Why am I showing this? I might as well just go. As you can see, I have a lot of books. snappy, and then it moves on to the next point. And you're just bullet pointing each thing that you do. And I script a lot. My videos are heavily scripted. But now they're bullet points. So now rather than doing the detailed scripts that I usually do, I'm now bullet pointing them. I'm actually using the bullet points as these scripts rather than expanding on them. I'm letting my more... So I have Asperger's, by the way. I have autism, and I'm very distracted. My mind works in a very unusual way. So I do a lot of like that. I did like a weird little hair. And I do things like that now and then. They're sort of like tics. They're sort of just different behavior things that aren't normal. And I've decided to just keep them in the video now. Why not? Keep the snappy things in there that acts as a transition. And they also make the viewer double take. They go, what did I just miss? And then they look back at it and they're like, what did you just do there? And they stay. And it's shown that they do stay. There's no skips. There's no big jumps. My graphs are not going down. They're not doing drastic drops. People are sticking around to see what is he doing? What's going on here? And yeah.
Because that's interesting because I think let me come back to full screen. Yep. I think there's a fear amongst YouTubers if they go off topic or if they put too many distractions in or stray too far away from the point of the video, they're going to lose viewership in those moments. But you're finding that these moments where you're adding in your personality are actually keeping people watching.
Exactly. I discovered that from my live streams. So when I started doing live streaming, I didn't expect people to really want to pay attention to me. It was always, I'm always laughing. I'm always acting really crazy and out there. And I'm like, whoa, what is like? It's a lot of me. There's a lot of me, and I'm always scared about how people are going to react to that. It turned out to be a massive success. I ended up becoming a really big success on Twitch live streaming, and I was just like, oh. So I guess people do like if you're just yourself then, rather than being this structured teacher, I'm so, you know what I mean? There's too much of it, I guess. There's just too many creators who are doing the
standard how-to videos.
Exactly. Yeah. And we want to see more personalities. We want to see more individual people. We want to see who you are and act as a friend, a person in the room, someone who, when we watch their content, we're just watching another human be a human. And that's fun. And I actually enjoy it. I watched back my latest video several times, actually. I actually enjoyed my video, which is something I don't usually do. My videos have always been for the audience. They've never been for me. But my latest one, I enjoyed it. I loved it. I thought it was fun. And I've watched it, which is that's a big deal for me. To just be able to say that I like my own content.
That's really, really interesting. Yeah, I think that's such a good temperature check of whether your videos are good or not. Like, do you enjoy them yourself and would you watch them? I think we, as YouTubers, are so guilty of putting out videos that they think YouTube needs or the algorithm needs, and they don't put themselves back in the shoes as a viewer themselves.
And you see so much advice. There are so many people that give out advice on Twitter and online, and it's really hard to listen to everyone's advice because everyone has different opinions and everyone has different proven practices. What works for one person doesn't work for everyone else. So when you see someone give you advice about having, storytelling or having structure to a video or whatever it may be, it's not always going to work for many people. And you need to find what works best for you, both mentally and for your audience, which is going to be the way that you like it. And I found that my new one, I never thought that I would drop my intros. I haven't dropped my intros. I still keep them. People do say we should not have intros anymore. In 2023, drop intros. No more of this, who you are, what the video is about. I disagree because when I watch a video, I like the intro, but I think there's a certain way of the intro being structured that you need to pay attention to. Is it long-winded? Are you doubling your explanations too much? Because a lot of people do things like that. They talk about what is, say, the most popular thing, and then they go, and why is it the most popular? And they keep asking the same question in a roundabout way for 2 minutes of length. And what I did in my latest one was say immediately, did you know you can use only black to create a piece? And I was just like, okay, so there's the hook. That's the title. Everyone knows that. They saw the title when they clicked, so they knew that, but I doubled down on it. And then what I did was, okay, so in order to do this video using only black, so now I'm expanding on that title and answering that question in how I'm going to do it, but showcasing other things around me while I'm doing that. So they're not just watching me on camera talking about how I'm going to do it. They're now getting sneaky cuts away. It hasn't really changed. My intro hasn't really changed. It's just the editing format has changed. And that's causing people to stick around. Like I think it was 83% was the peak of my latest video's 30-second retention. which is just like, it doesn't happen. It doesn't, like, I've always said that the retention, never shoot for 100% because 100% is disingenuous, because people, if they leave the player on, and I've done it many times where I've had like the mouse hovering over a video, once that goes on for a long period of time, that counts as a view. So now that person's retention has changed, and that's done this and that's and that. So I always look at the retention as like an 85% to a 90%. That's an actual 100%. That's a person who has clicked on the video and they have actually stayed beyond that percentage. So that's where I look at those graphs. And seeing like an 80% 30-second retention is just like, that's the kind of stuff you dream of as a creator. So trying to get there again, I think
wow. I imagine, you take what you learned worked well on this video and do it again the next time.
Exactly. Double it down as well. Never be afraid of repeating content. I've done this for too long now. I've always been afraid of reusing assets and reusing B-roll, and I've never done it up until now. Now I'm reusing things because now I'm just cutting my recording time. It used to take me around 8 to 9 days to make a video. That takes me around 3 days. And the quality hasn't, in fact, the quality is improved. It hasn't changed. It's just improved. It hasn't gotten worse. It's gotten better. And I just drastically decreased everything.
So you almost a third of production time now to make your videos. I want to get into that actually and see how you approach that and save time. But let's just tail end the retention topic we were talking about then. So you're making your videos sort of like faster paced and snappier now.
Yep.
You're also kind of doing a lot of showing and not tallying with like the stacks of books that are already stacked. Any other big takeaways from how to improve retention that you've been using?
Have 2 points to the video. So one of them is mistakes and one of them is the positives. But the positive needs to have a bigger impact than the mistake had. So when you do, as an artist, for example, I need to wow someone. They need to watch my video and they need to be wowed by it. But the wow needs to come in the form of a surprise. It can't come in the form of a, look how, say, realistic my artwork is, because that just doesn't work, right? But there are photorealistic artists out there, and they're not always very, very popular because people aren't interested in that. As bad as it sounds, and as much respect as I have for those people who are incredibly skilled to be able to do things like that, people just see it, and for the person on the outside who's maybe not an artist, they're just looking at a photograph. They're not interested in what they've just seen. So you need to create the idea that makes them go, how on earth did that happen? And then surprise them with. So if I'm using a $1 product and then I create something that is exceptional, it's like, how? So now they need to watch the process to see how he did that. They need to know, how did I just do that with that product? Or like when I was using only black, it's like, what I did first was I created a disappointment. I made the first part, I never do 2 drawings, but now I've started to do 2. And the first one I spent about 15, 20 minutes doing. I'm really cheeky with it. And that's intentional. That point of that part is to let down the viewer. Is to make them go, I've come here to watch someone using only black to color a piece of artwork, and he's just doing comic book artwork. He's just doing cross patch, and he's just doing, I'm so let down by this. But while I'm letting them down, I'm telling them, don't worry, shortly, under the using I've already set up the equals. Well, there are some caveats to that that I'm so proud of. And it's hard to explain it all, but I showed throughout the entire intro, throughout the segments, throughout the setting up, everything, I showed what was going to come, but I showed them that I was going to do what they expected as well. And by doing their expectation, I let them down because they expected that. But I built the next thing that I was going to do that I oversold as, this just isn't going to work, because it just doesn't work. You can't use one color to create artwork, but then you can, because all I did then was my markers not work as well. So it essentially became a gray, but it was still using that marker. I wasn't cheating. I just did it not properly. So now you're doing a little bit disingenuous here, but they're still abiding the rules that you've already set. So
that's kind of that's the surprise there, right? That's giving them what they weren't expecting. You're surprising them with that.
It's a bit of both. It's a bit of giving them what they don't expect, but also what they do expect. They expect you to do this. They expect it, but they don't know if you are going to do it. They don't know how you're going to do it. So you need to play into that and trick them into it. But at the same time, already have let them down with something before. So now you've oversold them a promise that they need to see and they need to know. And I've just felt that has worked. And it worked with the cheap versus expensive, which I kept doing while I was doing that series. I kept saying that, a cheap marker is never going to be better than an expensive one. I already knew it was going to be better. I already knew that I was going to do better. I was going to be trying harder, but at the same time, I knew the ins and outs of these things. I'm a professional with the markers, so I do know a bit of the business side of it. And I know that the cheaper products tend to be equal in quality to the more expensive ones. So through that, people on the outside don't know that. People on the outside who aren't into that business, they don't understand the ins and outs of how that works. I already know. So I can oversell them that idea that, oh, this is going to be, terrible. And yeah, it ends up working, and they know that. So
can I stop you there then? Because you may have explained this briefly when you were talking about the previous video, the black and white video, but you've mentioned that you kind of let the viewers down or give them what they expect. So, you started by saying that the cheap marker is not going to be as good as the more expensive one. Or when it came to the black and white drawing, you said you do a drawing that disappoints them. By doing that, are you not scared that you're going to lose them by disappointing them?
No, because I still give them a good quality piece of artwork. So if I gave them a bad quality piece of artwork, so if I did the letdown part, which was the Superman in that instance, and I used it to create comic book artwork, the letdown was that I wasn't doing the challenge in the way that I had told them in the intro I was going to be doing it. But what I had done was I explained that this was a warm-up and I was doing this for the fun of showing you guys how we do this. So I still showed them that, and I showed them how I did it, and I still showed them that, but they were disappointed in the fact that they haven't been satisfied by the promise that I had made in the intro. So now that they've not been satisfied, they still need to watch to see the satisfaction unfold. And now, so that's what I mean by the disappointment. The disappointment isn't necessarily that, oh, I purposely made a bad artwork. No, because I would never do that to myself, because I have a reputation as an artist to make sure that my artwork is good. But the disappointment is that they aren't satisfied. The hunger isn't satisfied, and they have to continue watching to see that. Because if I was to just do one piece of artwork, there is no satisfaction. The satisfaction is I could just skip to the end and see it. So, and everyone's jumping there, and you see it on the graph, you see exactly where to go. So everyone jumps along to it, and it's just like, but that's done. So I don't give them the opportunity to do that, because
that's really clever.
Right? And it just, honestly, it blew my mind. I was, when I edited it, because actually the latest one, I'm going to hammer on about my latest video, but I feel like my latest video was just like, it really was just my golden ticket again. I'm really hoping it does well, because I edited the video in 3 days and I hated it. So I scrapped everything, and then I spent 2 weeks editing it. So I actually re-edited the entire video. I had a video finished, but I took the video away and then redid everything again. So after doing that, that's because I just decided, well, why not? Why not just mess around, and why not just do what I want to do as a video format? And that's what I did. I didn't care about the fact that I hadn't uploaded in 3 weeks. I stopped caring about all of that stuff. And I figured, let's just make the video that I know I can make, not that I'm forced to make for a time frame to have a video every week or every 2 weeks or whatever. And I did that. And that enabled me to do what I did in the latest one, allowed me to think a little bit more about what I was doing, allowed me to understand the process more and not be just controlled by, I'm sat in front of a 30-inch monitor going, oh, and I'm just looking at things and just, no, I'm now thinking about the entire process. I'm taking my time to get up, use my green screen, and do all of these things. And yeah, I know a lot of people can't afford that luxury of not uploading and taking time, but I think in the long run, doing it will benefit. There is obviously the consistency issue, and we do have to be consistent. You have to upload regularly, otherwise the relevancy of your channel will fall because of the algorithm and the way things work. But there is a balance to that as well. I know many creators who upload once every 6 months. I know some who upload every month, and there's a couple who upload every year. So there is a balance, and when you find your balance, it will work for your channel. And I think I finally found mine. I'm still stressed, of course. Like right now, I thought I was going to have a video on Thursday last week, but I'm like, nope. I'm stressed out now because I'm panicking about it. So I'm really scared about uploading this week. But I know it'll be good. I know that the time spent on it is going to be good. And I should just
I imagine
sit down and think about it.
If the extra time you take to make that video drastically increases the quality of the video, it's worth it.
Exactly.
I think your viewers will respect that.
But my my most popular video in the last 6 months, I spent around 14 hours making.
Okay.
So,
which video is this?
If we scroll down, it's Mario in the thumbnail. It'll be
on the left.
Slightly there.
Yep.
So that
14
video.
hours.
That took me 14 hours. I was actually going for Christmas. I was going away and I had a setback with a sponsor. There were so many issues. And like, I need to get a video here. So in 14 hours, I quickly did a drawing, nothing special, no pre-planning, nothing. And the editing is really standard. And it's my most popular video in a month.
Wow. Okay. So sometimes scrap everything that we know. Things just go well.
That's it. That's where it becomes so difficult to follow advice and to listen to creators about, when they tell you this is how things work, because it's so easy to recognize patterns. But at the same time, there are unknown mechanics that take place. And I still don't know why that video did so well, because the Mario movie didn't release. So I don't know what happened.
So you could have the trends. Yeah, so interesting. Well, you've explained. We're talking about this video took you 14 hours, just 14 hours to make, which is short for you. You said earlier that you've gone from average taking 9 days to make a video to 3 days. Can you give us some insights into how you are saving time and going about making your videos for like a time-saving productivity point of view?
Yeah, so when I'm doing a series or something that is consistent to what I've previously been doing, it doesn't have to be a series. I use series because I use a series, but a series can be an indirect one as well. If it's a format or something you've been doing on your channels that is relative to something you've already done, just copy the same format you've already done. That way you eliminate that thought process of, is this going to work? No, just follow the same thing. Change the script to match the latest video. So just update your script, but keep everything the same. And if you do work with a script, that's honestly the best thing you could possibly do. I save my scripts, and then all I do is I just edit and I change that text and keep the same format. It's the exact same format, but I just clip in the new words. And then I use B-roll as well, which I tend to not use B-roll too much, but if I have a cinematic shot, especially if it's just of me, then why not just use that? There's no reason for me to
reuse it.
Exactly. And I tend to wear the same things anyway in each video for that. So it's just because the consistency of each video that I make then is just going to flow, and I can use that B-roll when I know I've got it. And yeah, I think that learning to edit is a big deal. I think that this is something that a lot of people sleep on as a tip, and it sounds so simple, learn to edit. It's so simple, but when you think you know how to edit, I promise you, you do not. You have no idea what you're doing. You think you do. I thought for 5 years I knew what I was doing. I didn't know. I didn't know that there was hotkeys that could do certain things. I didn't know that I could do these other things that could change stuff. I didn't know that I could already take the pre-existing animations within the systems and then just manipulate them slightly, save that, and then just copy it straight in every single time I want to use it. So now I'm no longer, say for example, if I want to do a snap zoom, I'm no longer going in there, going transform, dragging that onto my clip, finding each bit that I want to do. I'm no longer doing that. I just load up my previous one, right click, copy, put it, bang, copy, done. I've just saved myself maybe 2-3 minutes of constantly trying to figure it out. And I've just put it in there. And those minutes or those 30 seconds or whatever it is, even 10 seconds, over the course of, say, if you're doing that 10 times, 6, 5, whatever times, you're saving yourself minutes, hours each time.
They add up.
Every single one, they add up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
God, you've just got me thinking. You've got me realizing now that I need to go back and brush up on my editing. Just hearing that example you gave me, you could do that.
honestly, it's finding out things like that. Shorts has actually been a great help for that, because I don't do shorts myself, but I have seen a few shorts creators pop up when I guess I've searched editing, so now they're popping up. And seeing these short creators just pop up with these quick editing tips, and I thank them for it. I don't know the names of them, and that's one of the big problems I have with shorts and TikTok and stuff like that. Is it's so hard to remember who the person is. But these creators that do stuff like that, they have been a godsend to me. They've been incredible, and I've been able to learn so quickly how to just cut my time in half, and just there's no more looking around online for how to do things. There's no more Google searching how to do this specific transition, because I can now just save the preset, drag it straight on there, and it's done. And it is the animations that take the longest time. It's the transforms, it's the zoom, stuff like that. They take up, even though it feels quick when you're doing it, but then you realize you're about 1.5 minutes into making this one zoom transition. When you could have just gone Control-C, Control-V, done.
Copy, paste,
and that's
move
it.
on.
Exactly. And now you're on to the next part. And
so build up like sort of libraries of assets, of animation, just things that you can copy, paste, and reuse quickly. B-roll, for example.
Exactly. And always open up your previous video. I always open up whenever I work on a sequence, so I work with Adobe, and whenever I'm working on my sequences, I have the previous video sequence open. So then I can just drag every single asset straight in there without any searching for anything. There's nothing I need to do. I really don't need to do anything. It's all just now robotic for me. I'm just, and it's just quick, snappy, and it's in there.
Clever. What I do myself is I've built up this master Premiere document where whenever I make a new effect or a new transition or use a new style of text in like a new video, it gets copied into the master file. So whenever I come to edit a new video, I open this master file and it's got all of the previous things I've ever done in Premiere in this one timeline, and I can just find the effects I'm looking for, copy, paste into the new video, done.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a hot tip from me.
Oh yeah, I would definitely be looking into saving presets, because that's something I don't do. I don't actually save the preset myself. I just drag and drop them. The reason I drag and drop them though is a choice. It's not what I have intentionally gone against saving presets just because I know exactly what I'm going to find, where I'm going to find it immediately. Whereas with a preset, I'm still using those tiny seconds looking for the actual one.
Yeah. I'm not talking about presets, by the way. I mean, I just have a master timeline sequence, and the effects are on the timeline, and I can just scroll through, find the text, or find the effect that I've used and copy it from the timeline, paste it into the timeline. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. If you know the exact video that you used it in, you can just go to that point, find it, copy, paste it. Yeah.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yeah. And I think another one is to stop rewatching I'm guilty of it and I still do it, but stop rewatching from the beginning. I think that once you've got your edit done, it's done. You can rewatch the video when you're finished with the video. But so often I will go back to the beginning and click watch, and now I'm sat watching 10 minutes, or even if I'm not completed, it's 3 minutes. I'm watching 3 minutes and I'm watching 3 minutes again. And you're constantly doing this, and it's such a bad habit, and a lot of people do it, but you've already done it. You've edited that part of the video. The only thing you're going to do here is change your mind. But you made the decision, so you knew what you wanted. Don't do it. Don't be influenced by a later decision. Because you'll never get on. And I've now tried to block out the beginning of my videos. It's like, I've done it, it's gone, that's it, I'm moving on to the end.
So wise. Well, if you're making a change at 8 minutes and 30 seconds into the timeline, why are you going, after you've made that change, why are you going all the way back to 0 minutes to watch it all again? Just you're checking everything you've done up until that point.
Flow, and it's because you've changed your flow. You've gone, I'm going to now do this. And why? The video's just progressed. It's just the video has naturally changed. You don't need to keep up a consistent flow with it. It doesn't matter if you had a slidey transition, but in the intro you had a snap transition. Keep it. It doesn't need to be that consistent. And having the differences keeps the viewer engaged. It doesn't become monotonous and boring, and they're not watching this same sequence over and over again. They're watching differences. They're seeing it evolve naturally. And I think 100%. People enjoy that.
Yeah, 100%. I want to move on to revenue, income, money for a second. You've touched on brand deals already, and that you have brand deals and that you're quite specific about how you would ideally sort of insert those brand deals into your videos. Would you mind running us through other revenue streams that you've set up around the channel?
Yeah, so I'm pretty bad. When it comes to content creation, monetization, stuff like that, I'm pretty bad because I'm not money driven. That's something that I was originally. So originally I had things like prints of my work. I would have affiliate links, all of that stuff, which is great advice. And I suggest if you are going to get into it, you want to do as many affiliates as possible. Don't take affiliate sponsorships. I never ever recommend you take an affiliate as a form of payment for sponsorship.
So we're talking about sponsors that approach you and say, hey, make the video, and then for every sale that you make for us, we'll give you a commission, but they're not going to pay you anything up front.
That should be an addition. That should always be an addition. You should have a flat rate that you charge people, or a rate that you are comfortable with as a set price. So whether it's in the thousands, in the tens of thousands, whatever it is, that is your rate that you are charging this specific sponsorship. And also take into account that each sponsor is going to be different. They may not have the budgets. As much as some of them do like to say that they don't have the budget, they do. But some of them genuinely do not have that kind of budget. So it's up to you to work with what you're comfortable with. And never take a sponsor if you're not comfortable in the first place. Always make sure that you are happy with both the agreement, everything that you've got in place, and especially the finance as well. Make sure that you're happy with everything before you take it. But when you do take the affiliates, that should always be an additive. It should always be in addition to what you're doing. Same with the product as well. A product should never be a form of payment, ever. A lot of companies will, and especially if you're a small creator, I don't get that now, really. A couple of companies do try it, but it is so rare that I will ever be approached from a brand to take a product as a form of sponsor. When I was smaller, that was pretty much every single time. Every single time someone contacted me, it was like, we want to, and I think they know that when you are a smaller creator, you are more inclined to do that. So they are trying to take advantage of that situation. Yeah. I think you need to stand strong with that and stand firm with that. Not only for yourself, but for the other creators as well, because that does set a sort of precedence or whatever. It just kind of like, they think that, we got this for one creator, we're going to take it to this creator. And it just sets that sort of bad vibe. So in summary, just make sure that you have a flat rate or a rate that you are comfortable with. Make sure that you take the affiliates as an additive, and the same thing with the product. The product should always be standard. I don't accept sponsorships unless I have the product. So you should always have the product and make sure that you know as a creator what it is you're shipping to your audience. And you need to know that product as well, because the worst thing you could possibly do is send a product or ship a product to your audience that isn't something you are behind. If you are not behind it and you don't like it, that will sour. You may have a good reception at the beginning. You might get loads of affiliate sales. You might get paid, whatever, but they will not trust you the next time. And you want to take multiple paychecks over one big paycheck. You want many of them. So make sure that you build up that good relationship with your audience and trust with your audience.
Cool. Great advice.
Yeah. But as far as it goes with merchandise and things like this, that's something that a lot of creators I recommend do go into. Merchandising, making sure that AdSense isn't your sole form of income, because AdSense, unless you're a top creator, say like myself or another person who's getting, hundreds of thousands, millions of views per month, you're not going to make what is considered a livable income through standard ads, through AdSense or anything like that. You will not make that kind of revenue, particularly if you're in a unusual niche. You won't get the same sort of CPM or something. I can't remember what it was.
CPM,
CPM. You won't get that. You won't get the same. So you need to be hyper aware of that. And I'm fortunate enough that I'm very comfortable with what I earn through my channel. It's
through ad revenue or through other things in total?
Ad revenue. Ad revenue alone is enough for me. I take sponsorships regularly, and I work with a lot of brand deals, which are fantastic because they pay me substantial amounts. So that's great for me. I am very fortunate in my position. I don't need to take these other avenues, but they are there, and they are something that I would suggest everyone, even if you're in my position, definitely take these. It's just, I don't want the added headache. I suffer a lot of stress, a lot of anxieties. I don't need that in my life. So I avoid going through these things that I have to manage. And plus, I'm very forgetful with things. And I mean that not in the just I forget things, the cliche way of it. I'm absent-minded as part of my autism. So I will forget everything, and it's just too much for me to handle. So yeah, I can't do it, but other people I recommend do always go into affiliates, merchandising, everything you possibly can, and exhaust. Sure. You have so many, it's free. Your platform is free. Things that you can do are free. Yeah. Exhaust them. Do everything.
Yeah, there's so many revenue streams out there for YouTubers, isn't there? Affiliate marketing and merch sales being just a couple of them. I've noticed on your channel as well, it looks like you have memberships in your channel. Is that right? Is that still an active thing? I have memberships,
yeah. And these are unusual because I don't actually advertise it. So I don't, I'm not too sure what memberships are. I sometimes put things in there. Yeah, I guess I made something a while back, but I've put a couple of things, like some art prints in there from Limeworks that people can color from my original characters, which is why it's called Kim's Crew. Bob being my original character, and I've made a series of characters, which actually I had the plushie up there, so he went and sold out, which was fantastic. Actually, that is a good point. Actually, a piece of advice I would give is make a mascot. I think a channel mascot is the most necessary piece of product, or whatever it is, advertising product, that a content creator must have. I think that you alone are not really going to be the face. You're not the thing that people will buy. Some creators get away with it, like having a plushie of themselves or a t-shirt that has their name on it. But realistically, not everyone's going to, you want to have something that people are going to want, that people are going to want to wear.
Interesting.
And I tried the ADC Art Attack thing, having the ADC Art Attack, having my catchphrase on there and stuff like that. And it did well, but it wasn't big. It wasn't huge. It wasn't like that. When I made the plushie, that sold like 250 versions of it. It did really well. And I was like, oh gosh. And I had a tiny channel back then. I was like 150,000 subs, something like that, compared to what I am now. No offense to other people, by the way. Whenever I say that,
some people thinking that's a huge channel.
Well, I think that now we're in this sort of subscriber counts. They're not that important right now. They are for sponsorships though. Sponsors do look at your sub counts, and that's a great conversation point, is going into it with how many subs you have on your channel. Most brands aren't hyper aware of the difference between subs versus view counts. So you can get away with using your sub count as a form of advertisement, of saying to brands, particularly reaching out to brands. You could say, I have 600,000 subs on YouTube, and the brand will take notice. They will raise their eyebrows at you, and they immediately want to know you. Sometimes they'll look at your channel, but sometimes that's purely it. That's enough. They see that sub count. But really, the views are what's important now. People want average view counts. They want the demographics. So as I was saying, the channel mascots is, I think that building that brand beyond your name, beyond who you are, having a focal point that everyone can see, recognize, and understand, and build an attachment to, that's great. That was actually an accident. That was people, I have this. I got him with me. This is Bob. This is the original Bob. And awesome. I bought this at a market. I have an obsession with ducks, but I bought this at a market, and it was on my shelf in the background. And while I was doing an intro, I said, "What's going on YouTube? My name is ADCArtAttack. His name is Bob." No reason at all. There was no point for me doing that. Suddenly, I had an influx of comments of people saying, "Where is Bob?" in the next video, because he wasn't there.
Oh wow!
Where's Bob? Why is Bob not there? Where's Bob? And everyone wanted to know what. I don't know why that became a thing, but everyone was drawn to this idea of this mascot, this image beyond me. The video is me anyway. So they saw that little side of it, that little element of it, and now they wanted stickers, they wanted a book, they wanted everything around this. And now kids, when I went to a Comic-Con, I had a kid come up to me and he wanted to see Bob, and it was just like, oh my gosh, it's just this thing took over. And a mascot, I think that is the biggest thing, especially if you want to go into merchandising.
This is the first time I've heard this, but this is really interesting stuff. Like, and I think I can understand what you're saying about you as a creator. Usually, you do get the anomalies, but the exceptions, but usually aren't enough to be a big enough draw for your channel, for merchandise and for other reasons. But if you can think of something else that the audience can get attached to, then you have something to go on your merch, you have something to mention in every video, you have something for people to chat about in the comments. Really interesting stuff.
And it can always be a fun additive, just something that has no purpose in the video other than just it pops up and it's just there. Bob does nothing in my videos. It's nothing at all. It is just, my name's ADCArtAttack, his name is Bob, and that's it. There is no other point to Bob in my videos.
Sure.
But everyone loves him. I get fan art all the time. People have made videos drawing him, and it's just like, it's incredible. I mean, I love it. Fantastic. But
that's a great tip, guys. Guys, get a mascot, get a Bob for your channel.
It's a little less, I guess, strange for people to draw Bob than say drawing me as well. I think people feel a little bit more comfortable in doing that. In fact, several artists that I know, when they drew Mr. Beast, for example, ZHC, when he made a Mr. Beast thing, he didn't draw Mr. Beast on a vehicle, he drew Mr. Beast's logo. And rather than doing that, the logo is the thing. People see the logo and you recognize it. I would probably pass Mr. Beast, as popular as he is, maybe not. That's probably a bad example. But most celebrities, when you walk past them, you don't double take. You don't even notice them, really.
Sure.
But if they were a walking mascot, you would stop and stare at this mascot because you know the mascot. You'd recognize that. We're just designed to see these bright colors and these simple shapes of a mascot. And that's what I did with my logo. I have a little duck on my logo. Actually, I just realized, I was thinking, is that my logo? It's StreamYard. they have a logo. They have a duck as well.
Yeah,
So,
viewers won't be able to see this, but yeah, there's a duck on mine and Anthony's screen that we can both see, which is the logo of the streaming software we're using to record this. So a great example of your point right
there. Yeah, and you just recognize it, you just notice it, and that's it. If it was just a series of someone's face, the CEO's face or something, you wouldn't pay interest to it. You wouldn't care. And there's an attachment for some reason to the inanimate object that is Bob. So make merch.
Completely. Okay, well, I'm happy to leave it at that. That's been super interesting, super useful. Like, loved finishing that off, hearing about your revenue streams or your approach to revenue streams, as in not wanting to take on too many because it's just too much extra hassle, but being happy with brand deals, ad revenue, having some memberships, and really just kind of focusing on those. Love what you said about how you come up with your ideas and the trends and the formats that you're using. Amazing retention tips for the editing and the strategy. It's been super useful. Have you got anything you want to finish the video on, or do you think we've covered the most important stuff?
There is one point which I think is important for many people, because a lot of people stick to one thing. I think that a lot of creators need to diverse themselves. Look out for other streaming sites, other platforms, other things that you can do to make more of an image for yourself and get yourself out there, because not everything is guaranteed to last forever. Mistakes do happen and stuff does happen. So you want to make sure that you have backups and you have other things that can satisfy. And also, if you do, speak of satisfaction, if you do have other interests beyond the content that you're currently making, make a new channel. Make something where you can explore those interests that you have, and don't force your subscribers into watching something that you want to do rather than what they want to see. So just branch out a little bit and try to do those new things somewhere else and satisfy that hunger you have somewhere else.
Yeah, I can relate to what you just said there. My channel, in terms of the views I'm getting on a per video basis, nowhere near what it was in the past, for reasons I won't get into in this podcast. But fortunately, I also focus my efforts on LinkedIn as well as YouTube, and I built myself up as a YouTube strategist and a YouTube producer over there. And I have a pretty decent presence there now, and I get quite a lot of business and quite a lot of revenue coming through LinkedIn. So I'm so happy that I didn't put all my eggs into just the one basket of YouTube. So completely agree with what you said there. It's a really important piece of advice.
Thank you.
Cool. Anthony, that's been amazing. Thank you so much. I know that you're a busy guy. You've got your videos, you've got a huge following, and your videos do really well, and the production value, they clearly, even though you've got it down to 3 days, take a lot of time and effort to get them to where they are. So I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to chat to us today. I'm sure everyone else shares my appreciation. I'll put links obviously to your channel and stuff in the description, and yeah, just thanks. Cheers.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye guys. Bye.
Take care everyone. Bye-bye.